To choose the blow up the station option, you're one of two minds. You could simply be curious, hoping to find a decent ending somewhere in here, or you actually think this is a good idea. That last idea is probably wrong, since the Illuminati are still out there, you didn't warn anyone about them, and they can spin the tale any way they like. Humanity will not have the freedom to choose what happened, and I'm sure Eliza will spin it if they don't. Although if you're fed up with the endings as not being endings, well, this is pretty definitive. Everyone in the tower dies. Think of any story, of any plot and characters, and right near the end of that story, the protagonist decides to just blow everything up. Not like a Shakespearean tragedy where everyone dies at the end. It's not even subtle here or very suspenseful or anything dramatic. It's just crazy. You just blow everything up because humanity should be free to self-determine their whatever. With the endings being devoid of any real meaning, why shouldn't you have the option of just saying, screw it all? Yeah, thanks, Eidos. Way to read your audience. The creators are like, wow, this is so much crap in here. Let's just, I don't know, blow it all up. If Adam was going to die anyway, or if there was some extreme dramatic conflicts between those in the tower, like philosophical issues during the social battles, and you could actually lose those battles, like you could in the other parts of the game, that Adam couldn't resolve, this sort of ending might make sense. But this whole act of murder-suicide is so out of character, it's perhaps the biggest insult to our sensibilities and intelligence, especially if you went the non-lethal playthrough. It might have worked, but that's pretty hard to rationalize in a monologue. So let's begin this melodramatic school of shark-jumping monologue, complete with watery sound effects. What does that remind you of?
If you do this, the world will be left with questions and may never reach a consensus.
The world will always have questions of what happened at Pangaea, and when did the world ever reach a consensus? If Eliza can do that to the world with these other options, I mean, wow, we should just forget politics and resign ourselves to our superior robot overlords.
Are you sure this is your choice? We have little time left, Adam. And might I say, it has been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, Eliza. Who the hell keeps a self-destruct button down a hallway? Did Eliza wire this one up too? I thought she could only do the broadcasts. And since when did she get that kind of control over the station's systems? Was it because we just destroyed Hiron? But if not, and if she always had it, why didn't she stop the damn broadcast, and what the hell are we even doing?
Do I trust mankind to save itself?
Considering we just had a non-lethal playthrough of a tower we just blew up, I think Adam's opinions on saving people are a little circumspect.
That's what Eliza was asking.
Oh, so you know what the AI supercomputer was really asking. Okay.
The truth is, I don't know.
Holy crap, I never asked for this.
After everything I've seen, all the fighting and the chaos around me, I only know what I want to believe.
Tell us, Mulder.
Somehow, human decency will triumph.
Are we in another game? You believe in human decency triumphing by killing everyone. Is this the do as I say, not as I do school of thought? Who wrote this line?
These past few months, I've faced many life-threatening situations.
And then you decided to commit mass murder-suicide with absolutely no build-up. Thanks, writing team. Endings by Eidos Montreal.
I could have given up many times.
And when Adam gives up his morals, he goes all out.
But my need to know the truth, to uncover the secrets that others were hiding, and to survive, forced me to keep on going.
And then you discovered those secrets, and then you became a mass murderer. Was the Illuminati so dangerous that you went, yeah, this is a waste of time. I'm just going to kill everyone? Or maybe that tentacle Hiron project just grossed you out and everything must burn, like everything must be purged?
Most of the time, I tried to keep my values in mind, knowing my actions did not have to harm others.
Yeah, so you could kill them all in one giant explosion, you psycho. Oh, and let's not help the world out by telling them what happened, if of course we actually had the tell the truth option, and not some retarded version of possibly making the world Amish.
I held on to my humanity.
And then lost it on a colossal scale. Great character development there. Arguably, at least he has some, since he was nearly a brick the entire game. So hey, good going narrative. Not to say Human Revolution was a story of how and why Adam became a psycho, but this is so bad I can't even make a joke about it.
Resisting the urge to abuse power or resources in order to meet my goals.
Yada yada yada. You blew up the station, you self-righteous Terminator.
And in the end, I got the job done.
Wait a second. That's not something a non-lethal playthrough Adam would say. That sounds like the exact opposite. Someone who's expedient, who doesn't care about casualties and just gets the job done. This is becoming a very odd monologue of Adam talking about morals, especially since this is the good ending. Not to say Eidos couldn't have written a good dramatic mass murder suicide rationalizing scene, but this is not it. Not with those words. This is a confusing mess.
But does this mean I have the right to choose for everyone?
You mean like how the player chose to turn you into a psycho? Now, that could delve into the player-character relationship, and Adam is doing his best to try and rationalize things that we've done with him, the same with how he's rationalized the lethal or non-lethal playthroughs, but it's so contradictory and hypocritical here it really doesn't work. There's no opportunity to Adam to pause and question himself, especially when he starts monologuing, maybe halfway through the story, but not right at the end. Adam would have to talk about how scared he is of the Illuminati or the future or something to justify this atrocity on the same level of Darrow. By becoming him. Hey Tim, how's it going? Both Eliza and Adam were very skeptical of this option when she brought it up, and now he's talking about getting the job done and becoming humble about whether he should choose for the world and instead choosing to hide the horrors of Panchaea. Now, that kind of makes sense because those other three options were stupid, and this is the greater of all evils of choices, but at least people get to remain ignorant. So hey, blow it all up. Wait a second, this reasoning is stupid. That angle kind of makes sense, and I think that's what Adam's trying to get at here, but it's not very clear because of, well, everything. The words, the music, the imagery, it's all very confusing. If the creators wanted it to be up to interpretation, we need something sensible to interpret. This part of Human Revolution is not the final Jackson Pollock wannabe painting at some abstract art exhibit called Eidos Montreal. This is an ending to a concrete story. Rationalizing mass murder, whatever they're doing now, is not working.
No. Because it isn't up to me. It isn't up to Darrow, Sarif, or Taggart either.
So if all our options are actually useless, does this mean that these endings won't influence the sequel? And if that's the case, why choose at all? Why didn't we have the walk away option? If Adam was so fed up with everything he experienced and wanted humanity to choose whatever, just tell Eliza to stop the broadcast, don't send anything out, and walk away. The Illuminati would still be around, as would both camps for human augmentation. At least Adam wouldn't come across as a hypocrite, since his justification for being a mass murderer isn't really working here, especially in this non-lethal monologue. Adam needs to argue it out with Eliza or himself, but definitely not after the fact.
Ordinary men and women will have to decide together what course mankind should take.
Oh, well, if there wasn't a shadow organization called the Illuminati who are actually pulling the strings, yeah, this ending doesn't stop them.
The kind of people who time and time again have picked and chosen the future in highly practical ways. Slowing change when it's negative, speeding it up when it's good.
This statement is nonsense and totally out of context. Okay, so when people vote, it's by popular democratic majority rule, not by wisdom, the scientific method, or trial and error, or anything like that. Look at the Great Depression of 1929, the recession of 2007, or war, or taxes, or any other number of government or redistributional policy. Clearly, people don't know what they're doing. On grand scales. What is Adam talking about here? What are the writers trying to say here? That people are better when they're not informed?
Can they do it again? I don't know.
Do what again? Screw things up? Yep, they have, and they will keep on doing that. And Adam preventing the truth from getting out will ensure that this keeps on happening.
But I do know I'm not about to let anyone in this station, myself included, stand in their way.
Okay, that's a good sentiment, but by destroying evidence or having the fear of miscommunication or lies to cause people to react a certain way implies that the whole station in an event of what Darrow did is so bad that not even Adam, the guy who's been victorious throughout it all, has the right to change people's minds. Despite what we just chose for Adam, this sentence is the one ending saving grace. To quote the game's narrative, Adam still becomes a psychopath, but for the purposes of saving humanity, or even not liking the choices presented to him. He kind of becomes Darrow. In the event that the survivors of the tower, Seraph, Taggart, and Darrow, would seemingly have some kind of pull after all of this is, well, kind of strange. Regardless, it's still wrong, since the Illuminati is still here, and all we stopped are a few members. This all leads to a point where the option to simply walk away would have been more in character with Adam and correctly express the feelings of the player, who didn't like any of these options. Or, if we were so inclined, go back up the tower, start killing Taggart, Seraph, and Darrow, then commit suicide. Self-rationalizing himself on each kill. That might be more with Adam's character. And if you bother to watch the credits, you finally get to the stinger. I just learned about it this year because I was so annoyed with from the other endings, so surprise. Something about Bob Page, a project he wants to start, getting Megan on board, and some talk about a virus. There's really nothing to analyze here. The fact they even put it in implies they were going to do a sequel, but considering they screwed up the entire ending process, like having a resolution, talking to Megan's mom about finding her daughter, making a definitive choice that clearly impacts a sequel in some way, an epilogue, or even just a denouement, unless you consider the suicide option a denouement, they decided to put in a stinger. Not a clear stinger, just to show us that Bob Page was the guy at the start, and he's doing stuff with Megan right now. Wow. Just like the ending, it's fluff and nonsense. And it seems the sequel makes all your choices irrelevant anyway. Did Adam really blow up the station? If so, how is he floating when he's part robot, weighed down by buckets of heavy gear, and he was at the bottom of the ocean? And if floating in the water isn't the suicide ending, then how did Adam get into the water?
Sometimes you just have to let go and embrace what you've become.
And you're a killing machine? But what about the non-lethal playthrough? Does anything get imported over to the next game? This entire trailer of Mankind Divided is a murdering slice-a-thon. Maybe this is the suicide ending, with a new option to create some sort of bullet shield on your body. Oh, and Adam didn't die. Yay, Deus Ex. So yeah, you just blew up a tower with innocents in it and lived even though you wanted to die with them. Great going, Human Revolution. Thanks for trying to save humanity, Adam. Really doing a great job with storytelling there, and using that one unique thing where gameplay directly impacts the ending narrative and launching that into the ocean. Adam's thoughts are contradictory and completely unclear as to what his motivations are anymore. Well done, Eidos Montreal. Don't ever do it again.